Welcome to Ghosty Talk Shows. Lead from within.
Find your own voice.
Challenges we have had to overcome in 2020.
Find your own voice.
The world has become united by the unseen, knowing there are no guarantees for tomorrow.
Lead from within.
Find your own voice.
Let the world hear your voice and be filled within.
For the day has come for you to be a great leader.
The time has come to break away from the pain, distraction, experience the unthinkable.
Welcome to Ngozi Talk Shows, everyone. The time has come for you to break away from the chain, the pains, and from distractions. My name is Nomsa Clara Mngumbe. I am the founder of Hope Spring Eternal Introduction Agency and the founder of Ngozi Talk Shows. So today I'll be talking about love. So the topic for today is making marriage work. So how do you make your marriage work? Probably you are one of those people when you first fell in love with your spouse, you thought you found the person you will be with for the rest of your life. Then as life throw you with some curveballs, you both started to drift apart. You're lost for words. Wonder how it could have happened. If things end past the point of no return, you can still make your marriage work. You just have to be willing to put the effort. Can any marriage be put back on track? Yes, it can. Only if there is no abuse involved. Physically, mentally, abuse. If it's not involved, a relationship can work. If mentally abuse is involved, the person that is doing the abuse, it will work if they are willing to get help. But unfortunately, when it comes to marriage, when it comes to relationship, it doesn't work that way. And for you to be able to convince your spouse that they're abusing you, it takes a lot of energy. Sometimes some people, they do realize themselves that I don't need help, and they do go and seek help. In that way, the marriage can work. But if you're involved in an abusive relationship, it also up to the person to recognize that they are actually abusing you in that relationship and they need help. So for you who is being abused, there is no way that you can convince the other person to actually stop what they're doing and for the relationship to continue. So it wouldn't work like that. But some people believe that love can make marriage work. Just love. I'm in love with somebody. So you find people who are emotionally abused. Now, when you ask them questions, why are you in that relationship? I love her. I love him. And that's why I can't get out. You meet somebody who is in a mentally, physically abused in a marriage. You ask them, why are you with this person? I love her, I love him. That's why I can't get out. And you meet somebody, they're getting married. And then you ask them, so what made you want to marry this person? Or they're already married. What made you want to marry this person? They're like, I'm in love with this person. That's all they got. I'm in love with this person. But can love really, can it save your marriage? Just love. Just love. Can it actually save your marriage? Just being in love with somebody. You can't. Because marriage requires knowledge. You have to have a knowledge. When it comes to relationship, when it comes to marriage, you have to have a knowledge. When you actually meet someone, or when you decide to enter a relationship, you can ask people that have divorced. They will tell you that they didn't have the knowledge when it comes to relationship, or they didn't have the knowledge when they met somebody from the beginning. There were signs of abuse, but they chose to ignore them. Or there were signs of this person was never the right person for them, and they chose to ignore those signs. So they will tell you. That's why only love cannot save your marriage, cannot save your relationship. So you need to have knowledge, communication. You need to have communication skills when it comes to relationship, when it comes to marriage. You need to have the knowledge to deal with a grumpy person when they walk on that door. They get up in the morning and they go to work, and somebody makes them unhappy. You need to have a knowledge when that person walks in that door, they're grumpy. How do you deal with them? Or do you just go along and make it all about you, or just trying to find out what happened? Or do you just leave them alone and go back to them later when they've grieved? So you need that knowledge to deal with the things that you didn't order in a relationship. When you enter a relationship, there are promises that are being made in a relationship. Love is a promise that I'm looking for a woman who I'm gonna treat like this. I'm looking for a man who I'm going to treat like this. But when that trust is broken, when the infidelity shows up in that relationship that you didn't order from the beginning, when you met somebody either through friends, through matchmaking introduction agency, through dating apps, when infidelity shows up, you need to be able to deal with it. You need to have a knowledge on how to deal with the infidelity. So you need to have a knowledge when the abuse shows up in a relationship. You need to have a knowledge on how to function, how you can save your marriage. Sometimes we meet people and people change. We meet them, they show us, this is who I am. This is what I'm looking for. But what do you do when the physical abuse shows up? I just love him. I just love her. I cannot live without her. Yes, you can. If you have knowledge, you will stop saying, I just love him, or I just love her. I cannot live without her, and get him or her to go and see the therapist and stop making excuses. It sounds harsh. But when somebody is physically abusing you, mentally abusing you, that's why only love cannot save your marriage. If the person, some people, they meet people, the signs are there. There's a song that knew the signs wasn't right. I was stupid for a while. So the signs are there for that relationship, that the relationship is not good, but you say, I'm gonna date this person anyway and see how it goes. But the signs are there. Then the real person shows up. You say some people like to pretend. When you meet them, they like to show you, this is who I am. They like to show you a different character. instead of their true image. But when the real character shows up, you are like, oh no, I don't know this person, and this is not the person that I met. So that person shows up. The trust is broken, but you love that person. Weak communication, keeping secrets, poor boundaries with family and friends. That can destroy a relationship, no matter how much you love the person. No matter how much you say, but I love it, but I love the person. So that's why it's very, very important if you decide that you want to enter a relationship. It's very, very important to go to seminars, relationship marriage seminars. It's very, very important to have a coach. It's very, very, very important to have a knowledge. Bookshelves, go to bookstores. They have books about marriages. Churches, they preach about marriage. So it's very, very important to have the knowledge about what is marriage anyway. When we go, like, we fall in love, we arrange for the wedding, we get married. What is marriage? So it's very, very important to understand what is marriage, what is love. Can love hold it on its own? No, it can't. Love cannot hold a relationship if you don't have the knowledge about relationship. So many the divorces are too high. If you look at it, the divorce basically is too high, even during lockdown. So you need to have knowledge. There are so many people who divorced during lockdown, but if they had the knowledge to actually use whatever the pandemic, to use pandemics, their skills to actually spend their family, to spend time with their family, there wouldn't be any abuse. There wouldn't be, I'm not used to be with this person. You will look at the news, see how many people are losing their families, and then you hold on to each other. But if you don't have the knowledge, you basically, instead of fighting the pandemic, you'll be fighting against each other. Fighting against each other that can lead to divorce. But a pandemic is meant to bring us together. But instead, we start fighting. That's why some people, if you look at some people, some people have 2-bedroom house. Those who have a 1-bedroom house, there's a thing called a living room and a bedroom. So if somebody is spending time at home and they are annoying you, you can actually go upstairs in your bedroom and do some work, either read. So many things. There's so many things that people love. Some people love to go to the gym. Some people love to, okay, we couldn't go to the gym during lockdown. We couldn't go outside for work, but we could go for walk. We can try to be creative. If you have the knowledge, you try to be creative and just get out from somebody else's face. And if they are annoying you, just get out. That is the knowledge that you could actually use. Or this is pandemic, okay, you can look at the pandemic and look at how many people per day around the world who are losing their lives. And look at your husband and look at your wife, look at your children, and hold on to them and have gratitude to the universe or to God and say, I'm grateful for my family. But if you don't have the knowledge on how to deal with the unexpected, how to deal with the unexpected postman who would deliver the things that you didn't order emotionally or physically. See, that's why it's very, very important to have a knowledge when you get married. If you look at old generation, there are some people who have been married for 50 years. There are some people who have been married for 30 years, 20 years, 10 years, and they are together. You ask them, they all speak the same language. That you have to have the knowledge and you have to have gratitude. You have to have boundaries. They'll tell you that you have to have boundaries when it comes to relationship. When you are wrong, you need to have that moment where instead of trying to win the argument, just apologize, ask for forgiveness, and be able to forgive the other person. Show gratitude. Some people, they don't apologize. They don't want to admit they are wrong. When it comes to relationship, they argue. They want to know who wants to win the argument. For me, basically, if you were asked me like 10 years ago, I think I thought like that. I shouldn't be apologizing. But now, even if I'm not in the wrong, I apologize. Because I don't know where I'm wrong, where the other person is not wrong. It's the feelings. If the other person shows me that you have wronged me, I don't have to judge the situation or how small it is. I just have to say, I'm sorry. And I have to show gratitude. Jealousy. Jealousy destroys a relationship. When it comes to relationship, you have to be able to deal with the jealousy. There are some people who get married. If you ask somebody who's been married for a very long time, they will tell you that jealousy in relationship, it destroys a relationship. It doesn't work. I've spoken to people who have been married for 50 years. I've spoken to people who have been married for 20 years, some more than 50 years, and they all speak the same language. It's like they live together. They tell me the same thing, that you have to be tolerant. You have to communicate your wants. You have to communicate with the other person. You have to be able to actually work on your emotions, jealousy. If you're jealous with someone, relationship will not work. If you look at your friends and you think that your spouse will date them, whether it's he or she, that hurts the other person and that destroys the relationship. So how can you solve these problems? Basically, you can actually go to the seminars, relationship seminars, marriage seminars. When you go to relationship seminars, it doesn't mean you have a problem. And mostly in this world where we live in, our old generation, they didn't have to go to seminars because they didn't have these things that we have. We have seminars, but they didn't have it, and the lifestyle then was different. Lifestyle was different in their generation, but this time everything is so fast. Life is so fast. Like you get up, you go to sleep today, and you get up tomorrow, something new has been invented. I was talking to one of my friends on Saturday in the choir. She was telling me that in London there's basically Amazon supermarket where you get in, you can register the app on Amazon, and then you get in, you just pick you just pick whatever you want, and they can track what you've taken, and then you pay on the app. So things are changing. Life is the pace of the life is too fast. So you have to be able to keep up with everything. You have to be able to actually you have to work on your relationship. You have to work on your mindset. You have to work on your marriage. So your children can learn from you. Even if you don't have children, who knows? You can learn, your children can learn from you how you deal with relationships. Because everything you do, your children will grow up and they'll be able to, they'll be doing that. Childhood attachment, even if it's wrong, even if it's right, they will be doing it. If it's abuse, they will be abusing their wives, or some will choose, they will see it that is wrong. Some won't do it. There are some that will choose to seek professional help. We are basically so blessed nowadays, because if you go on social media, there's somebody who's doing personal development. There's somebody who is talking about relationships. Somebody's talking about love. Somebody who's talking about topic regarding mindset. So we are basically blessed. But that generation, they didn't have what we have, but marriages lasted for a very, very long time because they believed in gratitude. They believed in basically they respected each other. Now I go to a supermarket, I will hear a woman or a woman or a man telling his woman to get lost in front of people, or to get lost, or a man telling his woman to get lost in front of the children. F word, you name it. And that's not respect. But if you respect your wife, your spouse, you respect your husband, your relationship will work. But if you say, oh, I love this person and I'm going to take them for granted, when I go to town in front of everyone, I'm just going to tell them what I think about this person. And then later on is a story. So that's why love only cannot hold a relationship. So you have to learn how to make your relationship work, how to work on your marriage. You have to have the knowledge. You have to have something in place, principles. I go to church. My pastor preaches. When he preaches about God, he wants me to understand how God works. If I want to enter the kingdom of God, he's preaching for me to know what kind of a character that God will accept if I say I am a child of God. So everyone has principles. Even the marriage, the word marriage has principles that needs to be applied in your marriage. Same as when you go to church, same as when you go to work. They've put everything in place, health and safety. There are rules and regulations. There are protocols that you have to follow. So if those protocols they have not met, you lose your job. So that's what happens with marriage. If the principles are not applied in that relationship will not work. Some people they don't need to read books because they are natural gifted. There's some people who are natural gifted who use the brain. to actually deal with problems. But if you are not that person who is gifted at work, they teach personal development. Some people learn at work. Personal development. How to use your mindset. When somebody comes, they're screaming or they are stressed, how do you deal with that person? Or do you just deal with them? It just becomes about me, me, me. So if you have your own opinion, please just feel free to type in the box. Tell me how you deal about how do you deal with your marriage or relationship? If you are somebody who is not married, relationship, I would love to hear from you. The principles that have to be applied in that relationship, wherever you go. When I go to church, I walk in. I can't walk into church with my boobies out. I can't, because there are principles. If I want to enter that church, I cannot enter wearing a miniskirt. I cannot enter. There are some principles that I need to understand. I cannot enter cleavage. So the marriage is the same. So you have to understand the principles in life. If you enter marriage, relationship, you have to have the knowledge on how to apply, how to deal with things that you didn't expect, because life, we live in a fast life. It will present you with the unexpected. So bookshelves can help you read a book, understand about marriages. Michelle Obama, she wrote her book. You can read it. It's a very, very good book. I forgot the book, how it's called. I've not read it, but I've had so many people recommend it. So you can read the book about relationship. There are so many writers that have written books about relationships. So you can read them. You can listen to audios. You can listen to YouTube videos when it comes to relationship, or you can follow Ngozi talk shows. There's lots of tips about basically on all subject, on all walks of life. Then you have the knowledge on how to deal with the unexpected in your marriage. Or you can go to church. Churches, they do preach. They do tell you the image of, they do preach about God, and they also preach about the image in marriages. They do give marriage counseling for free. Pastors, there's lots of counselors who are qualified, pastors who are qualified. If you say, I cannot afford to go to a therapist, that would be an excuse. You can go to church, walk into a church and tell them, this is the problem that I'm facing and I need help. They will help you. And that knowledge that they implant in you, it will help you to deal with your relationship, although we're all different. So when you read a book, you will read a book, what worked for that person. Then you have to apply your own knowledge based on the character of the person you are living with, based on you as a person. I read books. When I read books, I apply books if it makes sense. There's some writers who are gifted. When they write, it's like they're writing a story for you based on the problems that you are going through. So you just have to basically you have to follow the tips and create it in your own way, how based on your character, and keep the communication open. Your spouse is your partner in crime. So you should be able to communicate with them and not keeping information, your feelings, not hiding your feelings to them. If you're not feeling good, just explain that I'm not feeling good. You are allowed not to feel good. Share your life with that person. Can you air your dirty laundry in your relationship? No, you can't. You can't air your dirty laundry if you are in a relationship with someone, because when you air your dirty laundry, it destroys the other person's feelings. I've met people. When I meet people, they have problems in their relationship, and I basically start communicating with that person, wanting to find out how they are and stuff, and their spouse is there, and they will start, because they are angry and furious, there are some issues that have not resolved, and they will start, he's not happy because of this, and then me add dirty laundry in front of that person, how they're not good and stuff, and that destroys the other person, because yes, you can confide in people when the other person is not is fine, you can confide in them, but when the other person is there, you have to respect their feelings. You have to resolve things later, because if you talk about it in front of their friends, in front of their family members, they'll feel embarrassed. We all have problems when it comes to life. We all have problems. I talk about my problems. When I have problems, I talk about mine. If I'm going through something, I don't mind. And if I have dealt with that person, I don't mind talking about my problems. But when I have a problems in my relationship, I don't bring it to my friends. Sometimes my friends are the last people to know about my problems when it comes to relationship, because that's why I have a professional. Professionals, they're there to help me. So I communicate with professionals. And if I communicate with my friends and bring my relationship onto my friends and letting them know what my spouse did, they're gonna start defending me. He has no right to do this to you. Or if I tell my family members in front of my spouse, they get angry. I can talk confidence with my friend with these issues that I'm having with my spouse, but when this person is not there, and I have to be mindful of what I say about the other person. And what happens is people will tell you about their problems. And let's say I go and tell my friends about my spouse, what my spouse did. When my friends see my spouse, or my family members see my spouse, they'll give that person attitude. But at the time I was telling my friends, I had not made up with my spouse. So then when I meet my friends are angry, my family are angry, but I have made up with my spouse. And then that makes my friends feel humiliated because they are protecting me. So the best way is to be mindful of what you say to your friends, so that they don't give the other person the attitude. Be appreciative towards each other. It's easy to take each other for granted since you are living in the same house, or since you have been dating for a very long time. However, think about how good it makes you feel when your spouse say thank you for doing something or for saying something. So that means you should do the same. Appreciate them even if they've done the small things in your life. It goes along the way. Don't have kids. because you think that will pet your marriage. Some people, they actually have kids when they are having problems when it comes to relationship. When they are having problems in a relationship, they solve problems by having more kids. Having more kids, they're like, we're going through hard times at this moment, but we thought maybe we'd try for the baby, and the baby will bring us closer to together like we were before. And too many people fall into this trap. Kids bring the whole new dimension in a relationship. That makes it tougher to resolve issue you are having kids because you both want the children. There's a joy, not because it will fill the bridges gaps. No, that's not how it works in reality. So maybe you already have 3 kids or 4 kids, and then you've drifted apart. Instead of going and see the counseling and making an effort in that relationship, you say, okay, we're gonna have sex, and then we're gonna have fun, have sex, fall pregnant, 9 months, and then the kid is gonna bring us together. It works for other people who wants to destroy their lives, but sometimes it doesn't work. Because when you have the if you've drifted apart and you need to get closer together again, that means you will need to work on your relationship, not falling pregnant and the kid will fill the gap. No, the kid will end up without parents if we have to speak the truth. Because if you have a relationship, that means you fall pregnant. When you fall pregnant, that child is born. Sleepless night. And then distance. Then what happens next? You're gonna fall pregnant again. So you have to have the knowledge on how to deal with the marriages. Not everyone lives a happily ever after. But those who have succeeded even during lockdown, those who have succeeded during lockdown, is they know how, they have the knowledge on how to deal with it. And some people, they've succeeded during lockdown by using gratitude. They're grateful for being alive. If you look at the news, how many people who died around the world during 2020, and that it makes somebody have the gratitude of being alive. It makes you look at your family, it makes you look at your children and say, God, I thank you. I thank you for keeping my family safe. I thank you for your protection. But it does not make you to wrestle your spouse. And those people who, they are the ones who have survived through tough times. They are those people, some were not lucky because they were in an abusive relationship. And when you are in an abusive relationship, if the other person does not want to get help, the only way is to get out of that relationship, not to make any excuses. I love him. I love her. I cannot live without him. I cannot live without her. Oh, hell no, you can. You can. So that is how you make your marriage work, by applying the knowledge, having principles in place when it comes to your relationship, having principles applying those principles. And every now and then, moving away from your spouse. I don't want to be with my spouse all the time. Sometimes you want some time out. I don't know anyone who just want to cling on to their spouse. Sometimes you need a way. Every now and then you need time. Have a night out devoted to your family or friends. That's why we have friends. That's why we have family members. Simple. If you don't have friends, just try to do something that you can do with other people, any activities that you can do. So you don't have to do it in an obsessive way that you are away from your spouse or away from that person that for your husband, no, or your wife. You just have to do it every now and then. Find a place to go for couples counseling, even if your problems ain't big. Sometimes it's nice just to go and listen to somebody else's advice. It's nice when you go for counseling. The good thing about it, when you go for counseling, they don't tell you who is wrong, who is what. You get to communicate, and you get to have a laugh. Because when you have a couples counseling, you get to talk about your problems. And of course, the person that is doing counseling with you, that coach, will have to ask questions. And when that person asks questions, you get to realize where the problems are, whether they are small, and if they are big, if the problems are big, then you will need basically loads of counseling sessions to actually save your marriage. There is no shame in seeking help. And make sure you both agree, not forcing somebody else, or basically forcing somebody to say, if you don't want to go give somebody an ultimatum, if you don't want to go come with me for counseling, it's over, we are done. That's what some people do. But if you ask somebody, suggest something, communicate with that person, ask them, let's go and see a therapist. If they really, really want to save their marriage and they can see that you're both not happy, they will agree. But if you give them an ultimatum and say, if we don't do this, then it's over. Then that's not good principles, that's blackmail. So you don't have to blackmail your spouse to basically to get what you want. You don't have to do that. And they become equal partners in relationship. If someone feels that they are pulling more, then their own weight. If they feel that they have jobs, that separate jobs, basically in the house, share some jobs. You have to share and responsibilities. Make sure you both do what is expected. When you make this agreement, the expectations are set in advance, which means fewer misunderstandings. So what actually can you do? You need to set aside the evening, a month for a date. But some people forget to do this, to connect. That is the great way to connect. You can help away from the kids. If you're away from the kids, and remember why you fell in love in the first place. It's very, very important. Pick an activity that you both enjoy. Join a club. or a gym, commit doing it together with your spouse. It can be a hobby that you both started together and you're both enjoying it. It can be as simple as taking a walk, going for a walk together. Agree to buy a gift for each other. If a gift, that's what it makes you happy. In that part, that's when the love languages come in. People communicate love differently. For me, gifts don't make me happy. You buy me gifts, it's not gonna make me happy. But if you sit down with me on the sofa, we watch film together, we go out for a meal, we enjoy, sit down together, we communicate, that makes me happy. But if you're just gonna go and buy me a gift, it doesn't make me happy. So you have to understand each other's love language. And if it is gift that makes you happy, doesn't have to be expensive gift. Even a chocolate that your spouse really, really likes. That is a thoughtful mind that counts. It will help you reconnect with that person, which is very, very important to connect with each other. You can come up with creative ways to hint and what each other want. That's very, very, very important to actually understand each other's love language when it comes to relationships. So you need to be able to understand your spouse, get into your spouse, get to know them, because you might be buying gift, but maybe it's not their love language. For me, my love language is very, very simple. Very, very simple. Spending time with me, it makes me happy. So you might have to communicate with your spouse and understand that's how you serve marriage. Is very, very simple. And also get rid of selfishness. When somebody else is selfish, it destroys a relationship. Forgiveness. Understand the power of forgiveness. It's very, very important to forgive when it comes to a relationship, to understand the forgiveness part. It's very, very important. If you want to save your relationship, it's very, very important to get to know your spouse. What makes them happy? What makes them love the things that they love? It's very, very important to keep your image when it comes to getting married to somebody or living with someone or having a relationship with someone. Don't try to make them fit in. Don't try to make them happy by changing your character, by changing the things that you love to do. That's why if you love some things that you love to do, obviously you're going to do, if you do screening for your spouse, first time when you meet them, you do the screening. If they're a good match, you feel that they're a good match. And then you enter that relationship. It's okay to have different likes, hobbies. And that's why you can take your girlfriends or your boyfriends together and do those things that you love that you can't do them with your spouse without forcing your spouse. If your spouse does not like going to the gym, don't force them. That's when, if you love going to the gym, you can go to the gym with your friends. There are some basically interests that can actually destroy a relationship. Beliefs, values that can destroy a relationship. So if you know that we're talking about small things like hobbies, so if it's okay to have different hobbies, different interests, but when it comes to beliefs and values, you have to, politics is big. When somebody loves politics and the other one doesn't like it, you have to be somebody that is acceptance, that they accept the other person for who they are and let them do what they love to do. Family, If somebody has family values and the other person hasn't, it destroys a relationship. If somebody wants to have children, the other person does not want to have children, it destroys a relationship. If somebody wants to get married, the other one does not want to get married, and those two, they date, knowing that the other one wants to get married, the other one doesn't, it destroys relationship. The list goes on. I can give you the list is big. So you have to make sure that their beliefs, they align with your beliefs. I'm a Christian myself. And being a Christian is very, very important to me, and for to date somebody who will understand my values. When I go to church, I don't want somebody who is going to criticize me when I go to church. But then you have Christians that go to church, they hide behind the Bible, and they're Christians but no Christians. So, and you have to make sure that when you are dating somebody and you say, I'm looking for a Christian, I'm looking for a Christian spouse, you have to make sure they are who they say they are. Some people hide behind the Bible. They are Christians but no actually Christians. And they come to you and say, God showed me a dream that you should be my wife or you should be my husband. And which is not true. Which is not true. So you have to make sure that whatever decision you make, it aligns with what you want. So it's very, very important to basically have principles put in place. If you're a Christian, you want to get married to a Christian. Why marrying someone who is not a Christian and hoping that you're going to convert that person to be what you want? It's never going to happen. Sometimes there are some people you meet, they're not Christian, but if they like your character, they see your character, they're like, I want to meet this Jesus. I want to meet this person that you go to church, or I want to meet your church members, and they want to come with you. But there are some people that go to church, they'll dress up, and they look good, go to church, the image, but it's not actually in church. So you have to get to know someone. That's what I can say. Get to know the person. Are they who they say they are? And marry them just because you their beliefs, their values align with what you want. You all want the same thing. And love is something that comes with it, but love only cannot save a relationship. So that's I think that was my tips for today. So if you are a Christian person and looking for somebody who is a Christian, just because they are holding the Bible, it does not mean they are Christian. There's so many people who abuse women and they go to church. So you have to make sure that you get to know that person before you can say I do. Or don't use just love and say I love this person and get blinded by everything, their character, their image. Some people who are abusive, you can actually tell before you actually marry that person, or before you even get exclusive in a relationship with that person, how they speak with people around you, you can tell. And they'll make an excuse that I'm doing this because I'm stressed. I had a bad day. And then because you're blinded by love, and you're like, yeah, I love him, I love her. But then that destroys your relationship, will destroy your health as well, because your health is more important. So I'm gonna leave you with this. When it comes to relationship, when it comes to marriage, you have to know your want. You have to know how to communicate with your spouse, and you have to have boundaries in place when it comes to relationship, because when you are marrying that person, when you entering a relationship with that person, you're not just entering a relationship with them, with their families, siblings. Sometimes relationship mostly around the world is being destroyed by in-laws. It's actually hard to believe, but if you go online and look at the survey, you will understand that in-laws, they destroy relationships. So you have to be somebody that have the knowledge on how to deal with the in-laws who are nightmares, because at the end of the day, you will end up taking it to your spouse and nagging your spouse just because their parents or their siblings are not nice to you. So you have to have knowledge to actually deal with those kind of things when they show up. So that's all I leave you with today. And we are here at Ngozi Talk Shows Monday to Friday, 1 p.m. UK time. Please, if you're watching this later, share some love with your loved ones and press some heart button. And God bless you and live with grace.